Self-sabotage in romantic relationships. This is a viewer request that I have a discussion about this. So if that's interesting to you, stay tuned. I'm Kirby. I'm a specialist in trauma and attachment theory. I shoot these videos every day with a grueling production schedule to help people navigate through the most difficult times of life and to figure stuff out, right? So today we're talking about self-sabotage, or just sabotage in general. I think the reason they call it self-sabotage is because it's like this relationship that I'm in is definitely being negatively impacted. It's being destroyed. It's being undermined. It's being sabotaged. And I'm coming to the conclusion that I'm the one that's doing it. So I am self-sabotaging this relationship that I believe I want, that I've been craving, seeking, pursuing, right? That is kind of the issue that we're talking about here. And it's an underlying theme of all the stuff that I talk about is the difference between the two minds. That there is one part of us that is seeking connection, seeking relationship. We find someone that we think is good or nice or attractive or whatever. And then we say, okay, I want to be in this relationship with this person and I want to have a good relationship, right? Nobody wants to have a bad relationship. So I want to have a good relationship. So they begin and they start the process. And then things don't go the way they want, right? There's conflict, there's fights, there is disconnection, there is moments of separation and confusion. And it's just like, what is going on? Like, this is my person. This is my relationship. It should be easier than this. It should be smoother than this. Sometimes it's so intense that it's like, yeah, I really, really admire and adore this person. And I think they're amazing. And I definitely want to be in a relationship with them, but yet we keep having problems. And so they go looking for help and they go on the internet or they call a coach or a therapist or talk to their friends. That's probably the main one. And then they say, what's going on? Like, my boyfriend does this, my girlfriend does that, or we're having this thing, or he takes this action, and then I just get so angry, or I get so sad, or I get so scared. Usually it's not scared because, well, rephrase that. It usually is scared. It usually is fear. Fear is the underlying driving force of all this stuff. But these other behaviors are the mask that cover that because people don't like sitting in a space of fear. Very few human beings will intentionally choose to stay put in a place of fear, especially if that fear involves powerlessness. And they will quickly do these psychological backbends and inner mind tricks and stuff to basically leap away from it to get to a point where they have agency, right? They're just like, to be here in the place of something that's scary and to feel like I have no power, I have no agency, that it's all happening beyond my control, that is fundamentally terrifying. That is existentially terrifying. That's very likely a common trait of all traumatic experiences, is to be like, I am trapped here and I have no power. So that is a situation that the subconscious will automatically, powerfully, passionately jump away from and move towards something where it's like, at least I'm taking action. At least I feel like I've got some power in the situation. I'm not hopeless. I'm not powerless. So what does this look like? What this looks like is strong, compulsive actions. What do we mean by compulsive? Compulsive is the feeling arises inside, usually quickly and powerfully, and then it seizes control of my system, usually automatically, and then I just feel this incredible, strong impetus, movement, pushing. There's like this pushing energy that's pushing me in the direction of taking that action. And it's almost like, a wave comes in from the ocean and just like hits you hard and picks you up and carries you along and dumps you off further down the road. And that is kind of what a compulsion feels like. There's not a lot of thought in it. Usually there's no thought in it. There's no intention to it. There's no rational reasoning. There's no choice. There very little self-reflection. It is just, I have the feeling, it's in me and pushing hard, and I go with it. And if you follow my other videos, and you probably know my philosophies on this, is that that's the place we don't want to be, because that impetus, that push is being driven most of the time by unresolved wounds, by fears that live inside us. And some people argue it's a gut or intuition or that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, if that's your position, then maybe this isn't the channel for you. Like, there's just so many cases that I've seen of a person following this intuition, this compulsion that arises inside them, that is clearly, like from the first second, it is clear that that's being driven by an unresolved wound and a core fear that lives inside them. And then they will say, this is my intuition. And it's like, if we remove the fear, that intuition wouldn't be there. So what is it? Is it an intuition or is it a fear, right? So the compulsion arises inside me and it is pushing me. It is pushing me in this direction to take an action. And let's say that action is, I've got this feeling of overwhelmed constriction. I'm confused. I don't know what to do here. Like this situation that's going on with you, partner, obviously, I don't like it. I don't know why. I'm just going to retreat. I'm just going to pull away. Like here with you in this room, in this car, in this conversation, in this text chat, whatever. Here with you with this much proximity and this much engagement, whatever that engagement may look like, feels uncomfortable. I have this growing sense of discomfort and probably anxiety around this, definitely confusion, and I don't know what to do with it. And all I know is that if I pull away, it feels better. That discomfort goes down. So obviously I've done the right thing, right? No. That's a perfect example of self-sabotaging behavior or relationship sabotaging behavior. It is completely and totally natural for humans to recoil and pull away from things that are uncomfortable, right? That is a deep down fundamental survival response. And if we were single, solitary creatures living on this earth, eating mangoes off the vine and everything else, that would be probably appropriate. That's probably how most of the animal kingdom lives. But we are social primates. We only have strength and survivability in large numbers, at least evolutionarily. Now things are a little bit weird. But as social primates, we need connection and we need pairing, bonding, tribal, family, etc. We need numbers. And because we need numbers, we have this attachment system that seems to have evolved inside our mind that is building attachment with other like-minded social primates, right? So I'm connecting with these people and they're different, right? Here's my partner. My partner is a different human being than I am. They're not an extension of me, no matter how much your codependency says so, right? My codependency told me that for years. They are not an extension of me. They don't need to follow the same rules that I follow. They have their own value hierarchy that's different than mine, right? And they have choice, and they have autonomy, and they have free will, as much as any of us have free will. And that means there's going to be differences. That means there's going to be friction. We cannot be perfectly aligned throughout the entire lifespan. And when there's friction, there's discomfort, right? If you take a piece of bark and rub it on your skin for an hour, there's going to be a lot of friction, a lot of discomfort. When there's friction and differences, there's going to be discomfort. So if my answer to that is always avoid the discomfort, run away, pull back, retreat, find some way to shut it down, I am degrading. I'm not just degrading the current relationship with this other human being, I'm degrading the future of any relationship with this human being. I'm degrading the chances that this relationship with this other human being has a chance of being helpful, connected, beneficial for my survival, beneficial for my family, beneficial for my well-being. I'm degrading that because I'm literally tearing apart the bonds or shutting down the connective energy that makes social primates strong. All right? Now, I can already see it, a lot of anxious people on the anxious end of the attachment spectrum are going to hear this and be like, see, he's making an evolutionary case that says avoidance are bad. No, I'm not. Because the truth of the matter is we all do it. No matter where you are on the attachment spectrum, even in the secure space, we have a tendency to pull away from anything that is uncomfortable. It is only through the discipline of our higher brain, newer brain, the disciplined portions of our mind that we can suppress that compulsion. So the compulsion comes up. It's a fundamental survival response. But yet it is reacting quickly to simple things, past wounds. And we have another part of our mind that we can bring online to say, shh, I hear you. I see that you've got this motivation and compulsion to get away from this situation. But we just need to stay here for a second because I think you might have a misunderstanding about just how threatening this situation is. I think you might have a misunderstanding about just how uncomfortable this situation needs to be. The subconscious, the inner child, generates discomfort. It's the seat of emotions. It's the seat of the feelings. He is generating discomfort. Why? He's generating discomfort because he's trying to motivate you to move away from the thing. It's that simple. Negative emotions are a command directive to tell us to move away from something. Positive emotions are a command directive to say move towards something. It is the simplistic, animalistic survival response system. But that's coming from underneath. We've got this amazing brain on top that can make a much more nuanced assessment of situations. So what does this have to do with sabotaging relationships? Well, turns out everything. Because every example of sabotaging a relationship or self-sabotage, I just did a quick little search for it before I started the video, and I'm like, oh, every one of these is fear. Every one of these is a threat response. It's things like you pull away as soon as we get too close. We have a deep, meaningful, intimate conversation that's full of vulnerability and sharing of myself. And the very next day, I'm terrified, I'm uncomfortable, I'm unconscious, and I just make a bunch of decisions where I'm going to be with other people, doing other things, focusing on work. I'm got this hobby I'm going to go do. I'm going to run up into the mountains, whatever. And it might be 5 days until you see that person again. Meanwhile, that person on the other side is being like, we just had this beautiful connection. What's going on? Like, you're here with me. Like, I feel so connected with you in this amazing, beautiful, nurturing space. And then you vanished. Well, one of my teachers called that vulnerability hangover. And I think that's a perfect name for it. It's like that much closeness, that much vulnerability generated fear. What is the fear of? The fear is, well, it's twofold probably. One of them is maybe weakness. That's unfortunate that that's still around, but it happens. And the second one is if I allow you to see me as I truly am, you might reject me. And if I have to come face to face with the idea of someone, it's easier for me to digest and stomach and tolerate someone rejecting me when I've been hiding myself the whole time. Because it's like they're just rejecting my presentation. They're just rejecting my animus expression or whatever. But the person, like with you in that moment, we got real and we got very deep and we went to a place that I am afraid to look at even myself. And now it's terrifying to be in your presence because I can't manage that anymore. I can't manage my appearance with you. You've seen past my act. You've seen past my presentation. I've been presenting and acting and people pleasing and codependencing my whole life to make sure to manage how other people respond to me, how other people think of me. I've been managing that my entire life. And now in that moment, we got past all that. And we went to this place of depth and vulnerability. I can't do that with you anymore. You've seen me for real. And that means I can't manipulate, control. Yeah, that's it. I can't control your view of me anymore. And now that's scary. That's super scary. Because now I'm in a place where I don't know what's going to happen. Now I'm in a place where it's like, if you judge me, it's judging the real me. And it's going to go down through all the protective mechanisms, and it's going to pierce through all that and hit directly in my shame, my ocean of shame that lives inside me. That's terrifying. So instead of face the terror, instead of sitting with the discomfort and trying to reevaluate whether or not that is actually threatening to me, if it's actually scary or whatever, I retreat from it. And in retreating, I basically avoid the situation with you. This is a classic description of the avoidant behavior pattern. It's not because of evil. It's not because of wickedness or narcissism or any of that other crap. It's simply a fear response. It's a response to a perception of threat. So other mechanisms of self-sabotage will flip over the other side. And it's like, here's the person that is terrified of abandonment, of being alone, of rejection, of being judged, right? And this person will cling, and they will reach out and grab onto the partner and be constantly monitoring the partner's emotional state, the status of their connection, the quality of their connection, the frequency of their connection. You'll frequently see this in like ways that this shows up in just even in online discussions is people will be talking about their relationship and they will give specific dates and times. It has been 6 weeks and 12 hours since we had this discussion. It has been, we were together for, 4 years and 2 months, right? There's this specificity to the dates and traits of the relationship because this tells us that the person, their mind is constantly monitoring all these different traits of the relationship, how frequently we talk, how many letters they type in their text message, the amount of time between when they receive it and when they respond, how much time they take to travel from their place to my place, how much, where did you go in the meantime, who else are you talking to, where else are you spending your time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? There's this constant monitoring of every aspect of the relationship because their mind is trying to derive this combination of traits into a simple answer, which is like, how safe can I feel with this person? How much can I trust this relationship? It is a seeking of safety. It's the same driving force. I do not feel safe in my life, in my body, in this relationship, unless there is all this extra stuff happening, right? And then so they monitor and they cling and they criticize often, hopefully no, but frightfully often. They will make demands. They will use a lot of should statements. They'll use a lot of argumentation to say, oh, well, this is just a normal, everyday, whatever. It's totally justifiable for a person to feel this way when their partner abandons them, right? And you say, okay, what do you mean by abandonment? And they're just like, oh, well, we talked about maybe hanging out this weekend, and then on Saturday morning, he tells me that he's going to go hiking with his friends. It's just like, that's not abandonment. Like, that is abandonment through the perception of an anxious attachment style, but it's not abandonment from a generalized definition of the word, right? And so these monitoring of all these different aspects and traits and details, it's like you're living with a lawyer. And now the person on the other side, which could be avoidant, it could be secure, it could be another anxious, it really doesn't matter. They will retreat from that because why? They will retreat from that because they feel like they're being controlled. They're being monitored like a parent. They're just like, I haven't been a teenager in 20 years, but yet when I'm in this relationship with you, I feel like I've got this overbearing helicopter parent that's monitoring my every move, my every action, and it's just and then they retreat from it, right? They feel this sense of compression in their life because it's like, I like you, partner, and we have some good times together. And it's like, and I'm realizing this is bothersome for you, that whatever's going on here you don't like. And so it's like, I'm going to try to meet you on that. And so they retreat, they compress, they stop doing that action, they stop hanging out with friends, they, try to send the text message every moment that they need to or whatever. And then it gets to this point where they feel like they're controlled, they don't have freedom, they can't breathe, they don't have agency to be themselves. In fact, it's worse than that. It's like they start to get this feeling that it's like, I'm not even allowed to be myself. The moment that I just do the thing that I kind of feel like doing, there's going to be this huge dramatic explosion. And I just don't want to deal with that today. And so you'll get to these people that'll say, what's the thing I've seen? It's like, you'll see these people with online dating apps and just say no drama. And then you go to like an anxious support group or any group where a lot of anxious people are collecting together. And then they will conclude that it's like, oh, that person that says no drama, they're actually this bloody, selfish, avoidant, narcissist, whatever, blah, 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 blah. They just want to do whatever they want and not have any consolation for me as partner. And it's like, in some ways, yeah. In other ways, that's a misrepresentation of what's actually going on. So here we have two big sabotagey behaviors. The one that pulls away because, why? Because they are responding to a tremendous amount of discomfort inside their nervous system and they're automatically retreating from it. And we go over to the other side, on the anxious side. Why? Because they have a tremendous amount of discomfort in their nervous system and they are trying to manage their environment to make that discomfort go down. You see how this works? And it is so easy, it is so seductive for the brain to say, I'm in relationship with this person and I'm having this discomfort inside me when they do a certain thing. My discomfort is their fault. They are causing these uncomfortable feelings I have inside. They are causing me, they are making me feel jealous. They are making me feel alone. They are making me feel abandoned. They're making me feel overwhelmed. Blah, 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 blah. No, that's utter and complete bullshit. Like if you're one of these people, just the sooner you can embrace that truth, the sooner you will move on to a better way of life and more emotional satisfaction and better relationships and everything else. It is not their fault. I am having the discomfort inside of me because of the beliefs and patterns that I have in my past that are being used as reference points to make conclusions about what's going on in front of me right now. I have some wound in my past that says if a person didn't text me back within 12 minutes, something bad happened, right? I got hurt. I got abandoned. I found out they were cheating, whatever, right? That's a wound that I have in my past. And now my subconscious is creating just a impulsive, compulsive expression of emotions that when they don't text me back within 15 minutes, it just says, discomfort, get away from this, you're about to get hurt. You jump to conclusions. We personalize the emotion. We take it on. It's like the emotion arises and we just accept it as truth. And we accept the idea that the other person caused it. And then we react. And how do we react? We react with hostility or avoidance, criticism or running, right? Whatever it is, the reaction, which is a fear of discomfort, a fear of uncomfortable emotions, that reaction is the opposite of the things we need to build a healthy relationship. And I can already hear the black and white thinkers, the people being like, are you telling me I should stay in a situation that's abusive? No, I'm not. It's figure out what it is about this situation that feels uncomfortable for you and why it feels uncomfortable, and then see if you can stay with it a few moments. But if you're in a situation where you're like, oh, I feel physically unsafe with this person, don't stay any longer. That relationship is done and over. Put a fork in it. It's done. Now, if you stay longer, if you're in a situation where you feel physically or emotionally unsafe with a person, and that's really giving you everything you need to know to say, this is done, time to move on, this is not working out for me, you've literally been given everything you need to make that decision and to walk. And now, if you don't, we need to explore why. What is the thing inside you that prevents you from just standing up, walking out the door? And I know there's a lot of logistical things. It's like, oh, there's kids and money and living situation, everything else. It's just like, okay, well, that means that you are prioritizing those things over your personal safety. I'm not sure what else to say. We make decisions based upon a value hierarchy. When two things collide, we choose one over another. So if we're in a situation where it's just like, I don't feel good with this person, I don't feel emotionally safe, I feel like I'm being abused, or whatever, and it's like, I'm not walking away. Why? Because there's something else that is higher in my value hierarchy that prevents me from doing that. Figure out what that is, and figure out if you want to keep that in that location in your value hierarchy, because that means you've got one, usually many, things that you're actually valuing more important than your personal safety. And I know it's confusing, and by no means do I want to make the situation sound trivial. It's not easy. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but I've been there. I've been in situations where I was physically assaulted by a romantic partner, right? I've got scars to show it, right? And it's hard to walk away when we are wrapped up in attachment dynamics. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so fierce about this work and challenging, like constantly challenging people to up their game and face this stuff now instead of later, to like resolve these things now so that later on, when you're in the moment of crisis, you are better prepared and you can walk the moment that things are looking good. You can make decisions based upon your value system and your integrity that will bring you to a better world, a better life, and a better future. And you're not going to be held back by all these fears and compulsive behavior patterns. Okay, that's a wild tangent, but it is connected. What are some other examples of sabotage type behavior? Criticism, right? As an attempt to control. Controlling, that's a great one. People that are terrified of uncertainty, people that have big discomfort that arises inside their nervous system at the idea of being out of control. They will try to control their environment. It's actually fairly normal and natural for a human being to try to control their immediate surrounding anytime they feel unsafe. And so if a person feels chronically unsafe in their life, in their body, in their relationship, they will attempt to control everything around them. Okay, we know that that's kind of natural and normal, but it's not helpful. It's definitely toxic. It's definitely counterproductive and sabotagey for any kind of healthy human bond. So if that's something you find yourself doing, you need to find the fear and face it. You need to learn how to stay longer in a situation where it feels out of control, where you can't manage it. And you'll see these wild dynamics. Oh my God, you'll see these wild dynamics where this person comes in and then, they have their little honeymoon phase and there's all this chemistry and euphoria and trauma bonding and crap. And then this person will come in and they'll basically start, feeling insecure about this, that, or the other thing. And they'll start trying to control this and control that. And, they begin to radiate this controlling energy around them. And then their partner says, hey, I'm feeling insecure about some things too. And partner then tries to get some kind of control or predictability about their environment. And the other person says, hell no, no way. I cannot surrender my control over A, B, C, D to anybody else but me, because if I do, I don't know if it's going to go the way that I want, right? So I can't surrender any of that to you. So then they're trying to control it. The other partners, they're trying to control it also, right? They call this the power struggle phase. Some people believe, and it's a very powerful belief. I mean, it's a strong argument that there's kind of like seven phases to the relationship. I actually don't remember them off the top of my head, but it's like, dating, honeymoon, kind of this peaky stuff. And then there's this power struggle phase where you're trying to figure out how to live together because you're just like, I'm trying to exert my power over my surrounding environment, and my partner's trying to exert their power over their surrounding environment, and our struggle for control is clashing up against each other. And so what are the various ways that you can approach that? And some people come up with these kind of legalistic, I get to control the laundry, you get to control the cooking or whatever. But it's all being driven by fear. It's all being driven by a fear of discomfort. And you'll get these people that are being like, I am justified and righteous in trying to control my environment, because if I don't control those things, I will have these panic attack. I will have all this anxiety. I will have all these negative feelings that arise inside me, and I'll be a mess, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to control everything. It's like, okay, that's a strategy. Good luck with that. Good luck maintaining a healthy relationship with that kind of environment. And children passively absorb what they're around. So if you have a person that is parenting a young child and they are terrified of unpredictability, they're terrified of not being in control, guess what? They will both control the child, which brings up all this I'm in control, I'm trapped, and all that kind of stuff that we were talking about earlier. Now that's happening in a child that literally has no defenses against it. And then on top of that, that child will internalize this compulsive need for control and the panic attack in response to it. That child will literally internalize a sense of panic at the idea of being out of control. It's not just inherited, it was taught to them by the parent that couldn't handle it. And then to add tragedy to that dynamic, the child will internalize a massive judgment of self for every aspect of self that cannot be controlled. Then you have got the internal war, this massive internal battle of self-hatred, shame, loathing. It's really not pretty. Why? Where did it come from? It came from a parent that could not sit with discomfort. That's my opinion anyway. I know I can come across harsh and brutal at times, and I'm sorry about that. But it's like, once I started seeing how all this stuff fits together, the answer is so clear. And I am one of those people that I suffered in my life anywhere between misery and, fantasies of ending it all because of the patterns that I learned and I internalized in my childhood years. And it took me a long, long time and a great deal of effort to escape from those patterns, the thought patterns, the emotional patterns, the judgment patterns, the criticism, self-hatred, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? It took me a long time to get out of that. And then once I did, I'm just like, I don't want anyone else to ever go through that. And so we understand how this stuff works. Yes, it's theoretical, but you just come do field work with me, watch, listen, and see if you notice anything about these theories that seems off base, misdirected, misguided, manipulative, whatever, right? Do the field work. Jump out of your shell and go work with 100 people that have different various types of attachment wounds and watch it play out. Listen to their stories about their childhood. Listen to their stories about their internal dialogue, the words and judgments that they have about themselves, and then make up your own mind. And that's why I'm so hot about this stuff. Anyway, tremendous respect for people that are doing the hard work. Tremendous respect for people that are intentionally choosing to face fears. So looping back around to this idea of self-sabotage, it's really the core issue is always the same. The core issue for every aspect of self-sabotage you can imagine is I don't want to have uncomfortable feelings inside me. And I am going to take actions, usually completely automatic, total autopilot, compulsive actions to run away from that discomfort. And the mechanism, the path, the behavioral expressions that come out of me compulsively will be informed by my past experiences. It's more rare, I'm not going to say very rare, but it's more rare that a person has a preemptive defensive behavioral mechanism like that that's actually intentional, coming from the conscious mind. It's been thought through, it's been decided on, that kind of stuff. It happens. It's not the dominating force. The vast majority of time, what's happening is a person faced the same kind of discomfort in the past. They took some kind of action and it made that discomfort go away. And so the brain says, aha, I've got an answer. My answer is to run away. My answer is to shut down. My answer is to dissociate. My answer is to cling. My answer is to call 37 times. My answer is to walk around with bravado and try to prove to everyone that I've got social value, that I'm a high value male or I'm a high value female, or right? My answer is to just drink alcohol and play video games until I pass out. My answer is to watch BBC dramas all night long and eating sugar. I don't know. My answer is to work out, go to the gym, meditate, do spiritual retreats, ecstatic dance, shoot YouTube videos, like whatever. That's the behavioral mechanism that has been embraced by that person's subconscious. And until each and every one of us learns how to spend just a few more seconds sitting in the place of discomfort while we're in relation with another human being, we will demonstrate sabotagey type behaviors, unhealthy, detrimental to connection, toxic at times. So that's our job, every one of us, me included. Can I stand in this discomfort 10 more seconds? And in those 10 seconds, can I be asking myself, what is going on here? What is driving this? What is it I'm so damn afraid of? That question's almost always beneficial. What is it I'm so damn afraid of? Answer that question, do the work. Sabotaging behaviors will go away. But on the flip side, because I think the people that asked this were talking about dating, early stages of dating. On the flip side, if I am with another person that's engaging in one of these behaviors, what does it tell me? Does it tell me that they're evil, nasty, narcissistic piece of crap? No, it doesn't. I mean, they might be, but it kind of doesn't matter. What it tells me is this person has a fear inside that's probably unknown, definitely unresolved, and that fear is creating very strong negative emotional states in them, discomfort. And if they are not aware, if they have not slowed down, if they have not done the work, then that automatic response pattern will toxify this relationship, sure as the air we breathe. So there it is. I hope this has been beneficial for the eyes and ears of the people that are interested in this topic. And I hope this gets the juices of the brain flowing. I wish you the best. Peace.